Welcome back to another super sweet episode of Jealous Podcast.
Yeah, today's guest is amazing, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She is. Like, she's just bright and cheery and intelligent, and like, her achievements are incredible, but she's
never
not
know.
going to tell you that.
And it's crazy because, like, the definition of amazing people,
Yeah.
Courtney DeRonde.
Absolutely.
Like, that picture pops up, when you Google amazing people. And so,
especially when you know her. Yes. She was great. I felt like I learned a lot in that episode. I feel like I learned a lot in everyone, but that one especially. And I think we know what we have to do, don't we? No meeting Fridays.
Oh, no, that's our meeting is on Fridays.
You did it on purpose.
I know I did.
And you did it to be a jerk.
I did. No, I didn't.
I know you well enough. You're like, oh, man. I've been trying. I've been fighting for no meeting Fridays, and I think that it should be a thing.
It would be nice,
There's
actually.
just I just have such a good feeling when my calendar is clear, especially on Fridays. I just feel like, oh, so good.
Speaking of calendars, so today I had to we had Joey Hinkie on our podcast a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
I had to wear a sport coat today.
Why?
So I had to go take a photo. So I had to wear a sport coat. And so I was like, I feel like I'm trying to be like Joey Hinkie in the sport coat. Like, I look like a fool compared to that amazing man. And then I'm driving back and I was like, I'm hungry. I need to eat lunch. But I'm like, nothing sounds good. So I'm like, what the heck are me and Mackenzie going to talk about to kick off this podcast? So I'm like, I'm going to go get a Smoothie King.
I love Smoothie King. If Smoothie King needs a new spokesperson, I am it.
But I'm the one drinking it, so I think I get the deal.
But it's basically juice by now because you haven't drank it fast enough. You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. Once my mouth hits the straw, I'm not coming up for air until that thing's gone.
You just one drink and it's gone.
Pretty much.
How
I
do you
will
do
drive to the drive-thru, drink it the whole way here, one-handing it, running the stoplights, just come, and I'm freezing cold because I've frozen myself from the inside out. I've just drank it completely empty. It's so good.
So I tried the Smoothie King. This is as far as I made it.
What kind did you get?
I don't even know.
It looks like Mango Madness.
There was definitely some mango. I think there was some peach.
Okay.
And then they asked me, do you want strawberries? And I was like, I got all this other stuff.
You know,
but
they're upcharging you.
I didn't know that. But
they add 70 cents.
I threw some strawberries in there, I think, too.
Nice. Got to be careful because those strawberries, they can get stuck in your teeth. And you have a big meeting after this, so just be careful. This
smoothie is just like a blended goodness to fuel your greatness.
I love it. So you're jealous of the Smoothie King?
I think today? I'm probably a little bit more jealous of Courtney.
I'm definitely jealous of Courtney, but this week am also jealous. So Courtney walked in. She was just glowing. And I'm like, I love your coat. I love the color of your sweater. She said, thanks. I got my colors done at House of Color Des Moines. Now, that is on my bucket list. I'm doing that. Everyone that does it looks amazing. It's science. You need to do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for Angel.
I think blue, do it for Angel. So anyway, House of Color Des Moines,
You're
coming
hearing this.
for you. Yeah.
We'll do a podcast all around all of our own color. We should do that. We should bring in each one of our employees and what's their color.
We need to do it. We do it a group. You get a group discount.
So we show them dressed like this. We
have a video of
what's that guy
all
wearing?
Dressed
what's
like
he
that.
doing? And then all of a sudden they redo us and that guy actually looks about 72% more presentable.
Oh my gosh! All right, I think we're
Numbers.
6 minutes already. So you guys enjoy this episode. Courtney is such an amazing person. Go follow her on LinkedIn when you're done or, in the middle of it. That's something Brandon would do. But enjoy the podcast, learn a lot, and have a good day. Welcome back to another episode of Jealous Podcast. You guys are so lucky because you get Brandon, in the same 3 weeks, right?
I think I took maybe 6 months off.
Longer than that.
And now I'm back to back to back. Rodney kind of snuck in there with an Olympic.
Rodney snuck in last week with dropping the knowledge about photography and the Olympics and the Super Bowl. And I've worked with him for how many years and didn't know any of that. He's just he keeps a lot of that close to the vest. not going to.
So did he talk for a full 24 hours?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I've been on shoots with him that he has talked for 24 hours. The guy is absolutely amazing. He's taking photos right now, and I want to just give him that weird
I
look.
know. Have you ever been on a road trip with Rodney? I mean, I had to take the wheel, and then Jesus has to take the wheel because we're both just exhausted because of all the stories that Rodney tells. Okay, I'll wrap it up. All right. Well, we have a very special guest today on our podcast. Courtney, what's going on?
Hey, glad to be here. And I'm honored that Brandon has returned for this episode.
Definitely. We could not do this one without Brandon. We were just talking to you before we hit record. You've done a few of these.
I have. I've done a lot of podcast interviews, but I was telling you guys, this is only the second one I've done with hosts who I know and in person. So
Yes.
very exciting.
Kind of fun being in person with the cameras and the palatial Bing Bang Studios. So it'll be fun. I want you to real quick before we jump into why I'm jealous of you,
Which I can't wait to hear. I can't imagine.
Long list.
It might be like just Mario Brothers. And
You told me that story.
Let's see where we go.
I can't wait.
Can you just give a brief introduction to who you are first?
Okay. Well, I am Courtney DeRonde. I am a CPA and managing partner at TDT, CPAs and Advisors. I am a mom and a wife, a daughter and a sister. I'm an Enneagram 1. So I don't know if many of your listeners are into the Enneagram, but that means personality-wise, I am an improver. So I am wired, like my underlying motivation in life is to improve myself and the world around me. And some people call it a perfectionist, and and there are some perfectionist tendencies in
There's
it. But
a lot.
But it's about improving. Colby, I am a 7-6-7-2, which means I'm a high quick start. My relationship to risk and change is very positive. I like to take risk and to change things, sometimes just for the sake of change, which I don't know if you've done your Colby, but I'm guessing, Brandon, you're a high quick start maybe.
I don't like to change anything.
What do you think his Enneagram is real quick?
I would think an 8 or a 2.
Is like 9 the highest?
It's not rated like that. He's absolutely.
Oh, it's like golf. You want to be the lowest.
No.
Every number
I
is
think you're an 8
wonderful.
as well. The Challenger,
Yeah, it's probably an 8.
which I took mine, and I was also an 8,
So
Really? Okay.
I didn't. Yeah, you're an
which
8.
makes
Totally.
total sense.
She's definitely an 8 to me. I don't know about anybody else.
That's what you should be to your boss, right?
Me and Jeff are probably who the 8 comes out the most. So it's funny you went Enneagram right away. I didn't know really where we were going to go first. So that's why I made you introduce, so then I could just figure out where we're going to go next. The one part, so me and Angel were talking about this last night as we were talking about Courtney coming on the podcast, and she's like, I'm so excited. I was texting her and all this. And I was like, how did you know she's going to be on the podcast? And she's like, I checked your calendar. And so she was like, and I go, here's one of the coolest things that I think about when I think of Courtney and I think of TDT. I think of every situation that I've seen you in, if it's podcasts or any of this, is you love to give more than you get. And that is one of those things that has made me, like, just being associated with you, just being around you makes everybody a better person. And so when you went to the Enneagram and that's what you are, is like, I was like, well, that's who she is. Like,
An improver. So thank you for that. And I don't know if you saw that I did do my love languages quiz, and I'm words of affirmation. So I feel like a little bit manipulated.
Oh.
like you're like, okay, her love language is the words of affirmation.
Did you know that? Did you know that?
I don't think I knew her love. So we had Dr. Gary Chapman was at an EO event that we were at together, and we got to hear him speak in person. And then just the way I'll say dummies down the love language was unbelievable. And so I may have, by the end of the event, not been paying attention and was like taking the quiz.
Weird.
And so by the end of the event, I had taken the quiz. I already knew that it was quality time. And so that was really interesting because Angel went into the event and it was like, oh, I guarantee your touch. Your physical touch. You're a dude.
Aren't all guys physical touch?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Dr. Chapman was actually interesting about that. He was like, no, that's called sex.
Right.
Like, you're not physical touch. Because then it was like, as he started describing physical touch, it was like, do you love holding hands? And I'm like, no. Do you love people giving you hugs? No. Like, and so
He always dodges my hugs, which maybe that's an HR issue. I don't know. I can't.
I do not want to be touched in the office. Like, it is weird.
It's normal.
Like high fives or anything? No. And so quality time was mine. Words of affirmation's yours. So it's just really interesting that like that is, and you wouldn't have known that without being able to take that event and that opportunity. And so I think that's kind of back to you again, like in the sense that you say yes to all these opportunities. You know, you say yes to wanting to better yourself. You say yes to faking it until you make it. Right?
No, I say no to that. I say learning and growing.
There it is.
Learning and growing. We've heard that around the office. Yes.
That's your theme.
Yeah.
this
So,
year, right?
so we, it was funny because I feel like as a business owner, you don't know what you don't know. And you can't do life and business without having a great support staff. So whether that's family, whether that's your community, whether that's the partners that you deal with, they have to be unbelievable to deal with a lot of people like me. And so having you in our fold has been unbelievable for Bing Bang. It's been great for me personally. And then the ability to just be real, you know? And I think that's every conversation that we have is just real. And it's honest and it's authentic. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know where I'm going next. I don't know how to run a business. And you're like, and I'm always like saying, I'm faking it till I make it. I think that's probably more the creative, cool, we had a beer thing in our office. But what do you say when I say I'm faking it till I make it? How do you kind of come back to that?
Yeah, I say we're learning and growing. Like we shouldn't know everything. If we already know how to achieve all the goals we set out to achieve, they aren't really goals. They're projects or they're tasks. If they're goals and they're stretching us, we should have to learn and we should grow. And I think what I'm learning more and more as an achiever and at this point in my life and in my career, that there's a lot to be said for the growth versus the arrival or the destination. That's one thing, especially in the last year, that I've learned, and this has come out some in EO, being part of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, the Iowa chapter, and getting in touch with my feelings, because that's not something, I'm a thinker and I'm a doer, not a feeler. But as I've gotten into those situations of really digging down deep, it's like, man, some of the things that we achieve, for me, I should just speak for me. For me, some of the things I have achieved, they don't feel as fulfilling as I thought they would. And when I look back, it's like, man, it's really not only about the achievement, it's about the growth and the change and the progress and the impact, not just the arrival or the achievement.
Yeah, what do they say? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I see
Yes.
that on Pinterest but it's actually very true. I mean,
I'm like, they're so full of crap. Like, quit with these catchphrases. They don't make any sense.
I don't want that on a coffee mug and then you're drinking out of the cup and you're like, shit, that's actually true.
It is about the journey.
Have you always been, because you always are going out of your comfort zone and doing new things and doing podcasts and doing speaking engagements. Have you always done that? Like even since you were younger, have you always pushed yourself out of your comfort zone? Or is that something more that's developed as you have become a leader, especially, in your own organization and things like that?
Yeah, I would say, I've always been wired for improvement and responsibility. And so as a kid, I remember getting opportunities from teachers, coaches, to step into leadership. I remember 5th grade, we're going to have a class president. Did not register in my mind at all as any desire to be the class president of 5th grade. And Mrs. Harrington comes to me at recess and is like, you got to work on your campaign posters. I'm like, for what? And she's like, she encouraged me and she saw this leadership ability in me. And from there on out, that was something I was always drawn towards. My brothers were both like homecoming kings. I'm class president, not
Nice.
homecoming queen, not prom queen. You know,
Valedictorian?
yeah. No. I
Don't
wasn't.
go
I
there
think no, I wasn't. I was in the top 10%, but I was not the valedictorian. But I think that desire to make things better than they are right now, or make myself better, it requires that getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I would say the other thing for me is having people who would encourage me. Like I didn't decide to do a weekly LinkedIn video on my own. Like Bing Bang encouraged me and spoke into like, here's why you should do that based on what we understand about you. Then I'll do it. But I mean, I don't have a lot of, big creative ideas on my own. But I am pretty willing to try things that people I trust and believe in encouraged me to do.
Yeah. I mean, so before this started, we were talking about Courtney's House of Color and how she comes in and she glows because she's wearing the right colors for her skin tone and hair color and all that. But it's the same thing when people at Bing Bang are telling you to do the weekly LinkedIn video because that matches who you are as a person and as a leader, and that makes you shine and glow and stand out on the timeline or whatever. It's like all the exact same thing. Like it's just someone telling you this is what you should do, or even if it's like I always compare it around here to have you ever seen Space Jam?
Space Jam?
Space Jam?
I don't think so.
With Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, it's the Looney Tunes versus the big aliens, and they're just getting their butts kicked. But then they go into halftime, and who passes around Michael's special juice or whatever, and it's water. But they drink it and they think like this is going to make us win. So they all drink it and they go out with the confidence and they kick ass. I mean, they just tear those aliens apart. And it's like, it's just someone telling you and encouraging you that you can do it. And this is what you should do to make you grow, which I think is super cool to have those types of people in your corner, like your fifth grade teacher,
Exactly.
Mrs. Harrington.
Mrs. Harrington. So cool. So cool. Sorry. A lot of analogies there that led into each other. We're here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch that. I thought you were going to say
You've never seen Space
Spaceballs.
Jam?
Have you seen
Spaceballs.
Oh, totally seen Spaceballs.
My kids just watched Spaceballs a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't know if we should be watching this thing.
Isn't that what you watch the stuff with your kids? Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pop it back over to Blippi really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that same over Christmas. We watched like Tommy Boy.
Oh,
And my wife was like, why are you... And
Grayson's gonna
Grayson
fat
was just,
guy in
like,
a little
loving
coat.
it. And then it made it even better. Like, we talk about LinkedIn, then Tommy Callahan added me on LinkedIn, like, later. So, like...
We still think you might be Tommy Callahan on LinkedIn.
There's a chance.
Oh my
I love
gosh.
that. That's so good. Chris Farley was one of my all-time favorite comedians. The Chris Farley tribute from Saturday Night Live. Oh man, I had it on VHS.
So good.
Still have it on repeat, like, when you walk in your office. So, as we were kind of talking about professional Courtney, it was interesting. I didn't know your background, like, super in depth. And so I was kind of looking at it and stalking you on LinkedIn. And I was like, so I'm sure you worked at, like, Principal. You worked at all these different organizations that are, like, big Fortune 500 companies in Iowa. And just because of how amazing you are. But tell me your background.
Yeah, so I have been at TDT for my whole career. I started as an intern. We didn't have an internship program. I lucked out and they were willing to take on an intern. It was my hometown, Oskaloosa. And then they offered me a job after graduation, which I accepted. And I started there right out of college as a new CPA and served clients. And I did leave for 6 months. A couple years in, I went to work at Musco Corporation, Musco Lighting, in private industry. It was a great company, but I missed the variety of public accounting, and I just quickly went back. And over my career at TDT, even though I've been at the same firm, I've gotten to do lots of different things, and that's what has kept me there, is that I don't feel like I'm doing anything like I did even 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. It's always been an opportunity to learn and grow, to change and to build things and try things. And so I definitely landed in a place that had leaders who were very empowering and open to me being very entrepreneurial. And it's like, as long as it works and you're effective, keep going, So
And that's been amazing to me. Like when I saw that, and I'm like, she hasn't worked anywhere else. Like, how in the world in our modern day and age, and to be somebody that is so dynamic like you are, to stay in one place? Like, man, TDT's lucky.
Some of them maybe don't see it that way. I don't know. But
Monica actually texted me earlier. She's like, we're not lucky, no.
because I do bring along a lot of change. And in our industry, and especially in our firm, back to the Colby, the quick start, it is very unusual for somebody in my industry to be a high quick start, to really be very comfortable with change and
You're
risk.
a process, like, boom, do it this way every year. It's just taxes. That's it.
So there's a lot of people who are in that high Colby systematized MO, which I'm middle on that. But because of that, I am more inclined to change something and try something new, where a lot of my team is not.
Yep.
So I've learned a lot through Colby and through just my leadership journey. That not everybody sees it the way that I do, and getting more empathy around that, more understanding around that, and also benefiting from that diversity of ways of thinking and doing. But I also know that a lot of times my role is to keep moving us forward, because most of our team isn't going to instinctively, they're going to preserve, and I'm more innovate.
And how do you continue to keep going, even though if the majority is saying like, no, pump the brakes, Courtney, pump the brakes. And you're like, no, I know this is the right thing for me and the organization and all of you. Is that hard to leave the house sometimes and be like, well, I'm going to go tell them again.
I'm going to rattle some cages today. Here we go.
Yeah. I've definitely learned a couple things. I would say one thing I've learned is that a lot of things that have been very positive and successful and ideas for me have come through a deeper faith in God, and being less about, I know what to do and we're going to do it, and more about, I'm listening and waiting.
Just lean in.
And letting some pieces fall into place. But I'm still doing my job. I'm still thinking. I'm still learning. I'm still talking to people. I'm reading books. I'm listening to podcasts. But I'm also not driving, this is my idea and this has to be what happens. So that absolutely makes a huge difference. But the other thing is learning more about my team, especially through Colby and Enneagram and strengths, and also using the story brand framework of communication, of understanding that there are ways I can communicate this that will help people understand why we're doing this, how we're doing it, what it means for them, what the bigger picture is, and that I have to say it a boatload of times, because I'm thinking this stuff every day. That's my job. And I'm like, I get it. But most of my team, they're not in that world. They're not in that realm of thinking. So it's been a lot of learning for me of how to communicate better, how to communicate way more than I think I need to, and to realize that I don't always have the answer, and sometimes pushing isn't the right way to approach it.
Just leaning in and being willing for those doors to open. I think that's been the biggest learning that I've had in the last couple of years is you don't need to know. You need to ask why, and you need to be willing to understand that those doors are being opened for a reason. With a greater belief, a greater knowledge, and a greater foundation, you can do all of these things, not for yourself, but for a bigger picture, a bigger purpose. And that's where it's been amazing for me, because I know I'm not great. I know that I have a ton of flaws, but if I continue to just try to put myself in a situation to put everybody else first, to put God first, like there's so many great things that happens just by believing. And so that's what, it's been awesome. And then I think that's where it's really cool to have like-minded people, and I didn't know where I wanted to take this next question. I kind of wanted to go why TDT was different. But then you made me go, all these different people that you have in your circle. So when you start talking about Donald Miller and Story Brand, and you start talking about Michael Hyatt, and the actual time and commitment you put into trying to put your best version of yourself for your team, for everybody around you. How do you have that much energy and time to do that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, well, I've learned a lot about productivity and focus and energy management. I used to think about time management, and I was very structured. And in most of my career, when I was primarily doing client service, it's a lot of big projects and engagements that were scheduled a few weeks at a time, a quarter in advance, and so I could manage my time, and was very structured in that way. And as I grew in my career and got into more leadership and business development and visioning, and that stuff does not fall into buckets like my client work did. And I learned about productivity and focus through Michael Hyatt and Full Focus Company, and recognized what they were teaching is that it's not about managing your time, it's about managing your energy.
Yep.
And that certain things take different types of energy, and you have different levels of energy at different times of the day. And so I learned all about that and started totally restructuring the way I did things, when I did things, and even what I do. So that has made a huge difference in being able to do more without working more and more time. Because when a few years back,
Can you just outwork everything?
that's called burnout, right?
Oh.
Like, and that's where I saw myself headed a few years ago, when we were having a lot of success and all these strategies that we were very passionate about for our growth started working.
More.
Yeah.
More.
Like,
More.
what's this? Is this going to be worth it?
Yep.
Like, how am I going to do this? And fortunately, that's when I came, just like we talked, resources that you need tend to find you if you're open to them. And that's when
Is that why you keep sending me Michael Hyatt emails all the time? Like, do this, do this, do this.
For me, it's been a huge impact. The other thing is, I mean, obviously, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm wired for improvement and growth, but I also believe that I, as the leader, have to be growing at a faster pace than our business. And so all the things that I bring.
That's why we're struggling. Got it.
Read the books, Brandon. No. So all the things that we've delivered to our team, whether it's EOS or Full Focus or Enneagram or Colby, all those things are things I learned and adopted for myself first, then with my leadership team, then to the firm. So by the time it comes to the firm, this isn't some flavor of the month thing that I just listened to a podcast yesterday. This is something that has made an actual impact on me.
I'm just gonna smile because I'm the flavor of the month. Like, hey, I just went to this event. Let's do this. Hey,
You
I just
are
talked to
the shiny new thing. You are, but I think that's gotten you a lot of places too, and it's gotten you.
got
it's
me a lot of trouble too.
I mean, it's moved us forward. It has. I mean, man, I get pissed at you sometimes because I'm like, God damn it, he's done it again. he's read something, he's seen something, but it is cool. But yeah, I agree. I think vetting it through that process before, bringing it to the team, also smart.
Yeah, it's great. And what I watch you do through systemized, structured process is unbelievable. And so I think when we started working together on projects, you guys were in growth mode big time. And I just keep watching the growth happen, and it's so fun to watch success happen to good people. And as I've watched it, I think some of the really cool things that I've seen and understand from TDT and Courtney, is you guys are doing it different. And by different, I mean, you're an accounting firm, just taxes, right? That's all you do. But you guys have no meeting Fridays.
Love that. I have tried to bring that here, by the way.
And I schedule meetings with her on Fridays.
Yeah.
That I don't come to.
Also true.
Yeah, I mean, No Meeting Friday is a huge game changer in focus and productivity, of giving our team members time to work, to get into deep work, and very much is about putting boundaries and constraints around our days and our time, because otherwise we do just work more. Be like, oh, I'll just finish that tonight. I'll finish that this weekend. And then all of a sudden people get burnt out and you really aren't as effective and productive when you are working. And there's a ton of research around this. And so that's one example of how we've put those constraints in. And you won't find me scheduling meetings on Fridays. And there's a few exceptions. If like I've been gone, for a week and we're trying to get something catch up, I'll do an external, but I won't do internal. The other nice thing about that
Or a nice lunch on Friday.
Yeah, nice
we can
lunch.
do that.
Yeah, we can do lunch. But then sometimes then people, it gives them more flexibility in their week too. If they're caught up, and like how would that feel? You're caught up on your work. You've done what you needed to get accomplished for the week, and it's like, oh, I got a meeting at 2:00 on Friday.
That's when ours is scheduled.
Well, like, I totally agree. I've been working from home on Wednesdays, and I worked from home this morning, and I bet you saw, I floated in here. I had focus this morning, and I got so much done, and I just felt like a different person. Because how do you feel when your calendar is just wide open and there's so much opportunity to get so much stuff done? Oh my gosh. It makes me a different person. It changes my attitude. Like I am just, I'm a better person to be around. I'm sure everyone here would agree. They're like, yeah, don't take those Wednesdays away from her.
Sam is shaking his head, yes.
He's like, yeah.
I know, keep it. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree.
know.
It's just, it makes a big difference. I think the other thing is it can relieve stress throughout the week as things come up. And because you think, when am I going to get all this done? Friday. I'm going to get it done on Friday.
Yes.
No worries, And
Yeah, you just put it on your calendar for Friday. I know I need a heavy lift. I know my most productive time is from 10 to 2, and I'm gonna hit that from 10 to 2. I can eat at 9 and I can eat at 3, or whatever. And so I've seen some of those scheduling tools too here lately that I didn't even think about it, that we've got 2 to 4 productivity hours inside our day. And everybody thinks you can work 8 to 10 hours. You can work 8 to 10 hours, but what are you going to get done?
Right.
And so understanding how you can schedule your day, your time, and be effective. What are the high profit activities that you need to do, that you need to be focused on, that nothing else matters? And it's not like everything else doesn't matter. It's just this matters more to be able to drive you forward in a positive way to create change. And so then you talk about create change. That's TDT. Everybody says they're different. Like, hey, come work with us. We're different. And it's like, how are you different? So how is TDT different?
Yeah. So we are different in that we look at the work we do as the people behind it, the activities that are going on that bring the results of these numbers. So everybody thinks accountants and CPAs work with numbers, and we do, obviously, but we think beyond that to what does this represent? Somebody did a bunch of stuff with a lot of thought and intent, and maybe a bunch of luck or whatever, and this captures what has happened and also can help serve as a tool to help them get to wherever it is they're trying to go. And that's a whole different perspective on finance and numbers as a tool and as a representation of real people and real work that's taken place.
And I see that firsthand in the sense that you guys are a financial institution. You're a numbers game. You're just, taking care of that, but you care more about the people. And so while the numbers matter, it's not the most important thing. Like the relationships are like Paul on our team, he even, like, I watch him and he does like the video report out for us at the end of the month. Like, here's how you did. Here's how everything broke. Here's your net profit. Here's all of the KPIs. And I watch, it kind of hurts him even more than it hurts me if we have a bad month. And he's like, I can't believe I have to read this. They lost this much money this month. Like, good job, Brandon. And he's just like, can you get it together? You can just kind of feel that. And it comes back to, it's not a business relationship. It's a partnership. It's truly that TDT wants to see, and mainly it's not even TDT. I would take TDT completely off of it, other than that's just your name. It's the people inside of it that want to see you move forward, and they want to see your growth and your win more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's special.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. And a lot of, think about employee engagement and what that's like across the world right now, and especially across the country. And a lot of stats that drive employee engagement is, do I feel value from the work I do? Do I feel purpose and value? And it can sometimes be hard to connect that for people in our profession, in our industry, because if you simplify it down, they're taking information and putting it into presentations or returns or whatever. And if you can get to that point where, why does this matter? Like, what does this do for Brandon Bingham? If we understand Brandon's goals for his business and his life, and we can provide tools and guidance and insights that can help him achieve those more quickly, maybe with less stress or whatever, then that's purpose, that's value. And back to what we were talking about earlier around things that are coming to us because of our faith or because of doors that have opened for whatever reason, we still have to use our own gifts and abilities and experience and personality. And so our team, we're wired to be systems oriented and to be high fact find and so it's not like you ignore that and you just kind of sit around waiting for something to happen. You use the gifts and the abilities you've been given to make a difference and to help people with whatever it is that you can help them achieve.
Yeah, and you definitely do that. Back to your LinkedIn, your weekly LinkedIn videos. Like, I want everyone listening to go and follow Courtney on LinkedIn after this, because I love it. You lead in and it's all about people, or it's about your family, or it's about your Enneagram, and you tie it all back to letting people know, like, me at TDT, it doesn't always have to be hard. It doesn't always have to be difficult. We can make this easy. I think people out there, especially business owners or people in leadership, decision makers, I think they think it's supposed to be hard. Like, it's supposed to be painful, and it isn't.
Or really easy.
Yeah,
like it's one or the other.
Like the struggle, or it's just it's just supposed to happen. But obviously, we know that's not the case. And so I think you just have such a unique perspective, and you position it in such a unique way where it's like people don't, that intimidation factor is gone and that welcoming factor is there. And it's like, okay, if I'm going to go deal with Courtney, like I'm going to be fine. She's going to have it. So I don't know. I just think that's something that should be applauded. You do use your talents and your gifts in a unique way. And I think it's really cool to see.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I mean, I do think that a lot of people in our profession, in our industry, and accounting and finance, they're used to having all the answers and being the technical experts. And that can make business owners and decision makers feel like idiots. Mm-hmm. And why would you want these people to feel like idiots?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, it's like, why would you do that? And that comes back to
it's like talking down instead of equal and up to, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say that's another big way we're different, is that our approach is very educational. Mm-hmm. Like, we want to empower our clients to understand what this stuff means and why it matters. They don't need to depend on us being around to interpret it and to guide them. We are there to do that, but they can learn along the way and feel empowered. We don't want them to feel ashamed or silly or stupid, but that's a different approach, and that's very much a difference that we have, is that we approach it as we're going to try to teach you this, not so you can redo it yourself, but so you understand why this would matter.
I love that too. That's why we're all attracted to the podcasts or the books or the self-help, because we want to be able to learn something and then go apply that to our lives, or help someone else who's starting their business and be able to be like, I learned this, here or there, A, B, and C. Like, here's what you can do. I think everyone's wired to want to provide that help too. So I think that's so cool to always constantly be educating, and yes, not talking down to or at. So very cool. Very cool.
So I have a little, when I hear talents and gifts, so I was sitting on the couch this weekend with my kids watching the Olympics.
You were sitting on the couch?
It was weird.
Do something.
Like, actually sit down. My brain was still running though. And I was just sitting there kind of thinking through business, and I'm watching the Olympics, and I'm an Olympics guy, and I haven't been able to watch the Olympics at all. I don't know if it's just a weird time the way
It is weird. I haven't been able to
Like I just
sink my teeth into
haven't
it
been
either.
able to just like sit in front of the TV for like 10 hours and just watch the Olympics. Like I feel like that's what I should be doing, and I haven't been able to do it. And so I got to sit down for like 2 hours and watch the Olympics, and it was snowboarding, and it was a guy by the name of Nick Baumgartner. And I posted this kind of on our, like my social stuff, and it was just kind of a quick and kind of more like go find more information. But it hit me so hard, like right between the eyes so he ran his race, his singles race, comes down the hill, and he got third. He did not make it to the next round to be able to go to the gold medal round, and so he was out of the medals. And they stuck it's what we do. They stick a microphone in his face right away. How do you feel? And his emotions were just unbelievable. Like, and it reminded me of a business owner. So you've trained, you've led, you've developed, you've created an unbelievable product, you've put it in the market, you've done all this stuff, and it still wasn't good enough. And his emotions of just that moment of like, I have let everybody down. And it was so powerful. He was crying. He couldn't get the words out. He was just, he's 40 years old. He's old, like me. And just getting to that point in life that you've hit the pinnacle. So you've done everything you possibly can to get yourself to this point. You're an Olympic athlete. How many people can say they're an Olympic athlete? You're representing your country, all these unbelievable things, and you think you failed. And to watch him just like almost self-destruct, it was so painful and it was so hard, and I just wanted to give him a hug. And I'm not
I thought you were into
hugger.
hugs.
I don't like hugs, and I was going to give this guy a hug. And so it was just interesting. But then like a day or 2 days later, he's in the doubles snowboarding, and him and his partner, going down, and they win the gold. And it was just interesting because that is the roller coaster we're on as business owners. Like, you do all this, you put everything out there, you stick your neck out and you wait for it to get cut off. And then you feel like you let people down. You feel like you don't live up to those standards that you have in your perfection mindset. And then it's like, how do you rebound? How do you move forward? And then here 2 days later, boom, top of the world. I'm a gold medal winner. And so when you see talents and gifts like that, just you deal with that every day, though. You live the highest highs with your clients and you live the lowest lows. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I did
Talk about a long story to get there.
I did see him win the gold. I missed the singles one, but I mean, I think that for me, as an Enneagram 1, as I mentioned, so I talked about the improvement, the improver. That's a positive side of it. The negative side of being an Enneagram 1 is there's a lot of judgment and criticism, primarily around myself. I am constantly questioning everything I said, everything I've done. Like, this podcast is going to be running through my mind for days.
You're killing it.
And I didn't realize that not everybody has this inner critic. It's like, oh, I thought everybody had that. No, not everybody has that. And so
some people need
it. So I have always had this, judgment and criticism about myself and everything. I always spot like what's missing or what could have been better. And that helps me want to improve it, but it can also be so exhausting and defeating.
Yes.
And so something that I have really learned in the last couple of years as I've gone from, leading a team within our firm to leading the entire firm, which felt like a big shift.
It is.
There's people here, we have 70 people. I'm no longer just leading the 15 people who I hired and developed and built, and they've known me and trust me. I've now got all these other people who some of them I've never worked with directly. They don't necessarily know me and trust me like my team does. And so that felt like a lot more pressure. And so early on, there were things that I would feel like, oh my gosh, that's a disaster. That was a huge failure. I suck. I shouldn't even do this. Why does anybody want to be a leader? Maybe I shouldn't do this job. And thankfully, I have an amazing executive coach, a one-on-one coach. His name's Kevin Jennings. And I remember talking to him about this, this horrible, thing that had gone wrong. And he was literally like clapping. And he's like, Courtney, this is awesome. And I'm like, what?
I think we had this conversation a couple of weeks or months ago. It's like leadership is so hard, and you almost feel like you're failing through it. And then as doers, as we've grown up as doers, if you're not achieving and checking off your boxes, but everybody else is, truly we're winning. It's just it's such a mind trap, you're like, holy cow, like,
Yeah, your value's tied up in your productivity. So if you're not feeling individually productive, then you're like, well,
yeah, or
what's
your
the point?
achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kevin reframed this for me as this is an opportunity for you early in your leadership to show how you handle something like this. And a lot of people go a long time as leaders before they ever get this chance. And right away, you're going to show all these people who don't know you yet as a leader very well how you can handle this. And so that just changed my perspective. So I think that's part of it for me, is just recognizing that we learn so much more when things don't go right than we do when they go well. And the other thing is, for me personally, again, back to my faith, part of my morning ritual every single morning when I get up, I do my devotions and I do a 3-minute pause. And I follow this pause app that's based on the book, I think it's called Take Your Life Back or Get Your Life Back, one of those, by John Eldredge. And it's about recognizing that this is not my stuff, that I can't do everything. And whatever does happen is through me, not because of me. And that takes a boatload of pressure off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are, I'd say, the two things for me, in dealing with the struggle. But it's a constant thing because I do have that inner critic, and I do want to succeed, and I do want to achieve, and it can definitely be a mind game.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Enneagram 1, improver. I just now figured out why you love Mario Brothers.
Tell me, what do you think it is?
It's the constant improving your status of like how far you can go in the game.
Leveling up.
So how good are you?
So, I saved the princess.
Oh, nice.
I got all the star coins from all the levels,
So
which
like-
opens up the star highway.
So like best of the best.
Is
Well,
this Super
Mario, it's like, Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
So are you playing on the big screen, or are you like
Both. I play, normally I would play at home, in the family room on the big screen, but we have a
with
Switch.
everybody watching you?
Oh,
like
yeah.
your whole
Everyone's like,
family
you
just
can't
like,
play.
rooting
You
you
can't
on.
play.
come on, Mom, you got it.
I love
Hit the
that
coin.
so much. I was a Super Mario Brothers fiend back in the day. I was in different dimensions, so I love this.
So fun. Yes. I haven't solved all of the Star Road. I think it's called Star Road.
What are you
Star
doing
Highway.
here?
It's hard.
You should just
It's
go now.
a struggle.
Do you have different color Yoshis in this one? You have different
Yes.
color.
There
like,
are different colored Yoshis. Yes. Yeah, it was a thing. Like, I had my own profile. Like, my kids couldn't play on my profile. Like, I am saving the
get
princess. You are not messing up my.
That's amazing.
What's your husband say about that? Is he just like, what in the world? What did I marry?
I bet he loves it.
I don't know what he thinks about it. I think he's just glad to have me occupied for a while.
So will you play for 30 minutes at a time or
So
15 hours?
yeah, when we first got it, it was Christmas break, and we got it for our kids for Christmas. And I was off work, and I would stay up until like 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
playing Nintendo. So it can be very addictive. And like back in college, I remember totally blowing a finals week over Mario Kart. It was like, that was so stupid.
You're not even achieving
so
anything
funny.
in Mario Kart. You're just,
You're racing, man.
Yeah.
You're
And-
racing, man.
so are you playing just by yourself? Mario Kart?
No. It was like a dorm floor, tournament thing, and it was
So like everybody failed.
yeah, right. We all went down together. But no, yeah, I think so. Once I saved the princess, and I've just been, playing with my kids on their profiles, helping them out, then it's just, a half hour here and there. My youngest, Callan, he loves, like every night, he'll be like, can we play Mario? Can we play Mario?
So of course you play 2-player at that point, right?
Yeah, I'll play 2-player. Yeah, I'll play 2-player on his profile, not mine.
Yeah, of course. We cannot bring that score down. I just got back into solitaire because I'm old and boring.
How are you playing, like, actual real cards? Do you get them out and
No.
like put them on the love seat? And
No, I have Snood on my phone. Do you remember Snood?
No,
Okay, it's like
I heard that.
you'll have to look it up. And then solitaire.
what is Snood?
So that's another
Snood?
game?
Snood was a game that, this is going to sound like a brag, but it isn't. Like the way our school was set up, like I was in the TAG program, okay, the talented and gifted. But all we did, and if our teacher listens to this and hears it, she's going to be pissed. We would sit there and play this game called Snood. We were not improving ourselves or doing anything. So it's
this
like
is post Oregon Trail.
It's like, yeah. So it's like colored faces, and then you have like your shooter, and then you try to like hit, like get so many in a row, and then you boom, knocks it out, and then it's constantly coming down. So you try to hit them all out. It's like probably like Candy Crush would be.
Okay.
It was-
Dr. Mario.
But this is Dr.
Yes.
Mario. Yeah, this is like early 2000s. Snood. It's fun.
So what did we not dive into that the world needs to know about you?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot.
We covered a lot of ground. I think we've hit everything. Trying to think of
Do you
something.
feel like there's something missing?
Yeah, there's definitely something missing. we haven't got any dirt. Like Caitlin just
She's
walked
from
in. Should we get the
Oskaloosa,
dirt?
which is near where I grew up, and I do know your sister-in-law, but I didn't make a phone call to her before this. So
Caitlin would have really good dirt on
yeah,
her.
Caitlin has great dirt.
No, I think though what we've done is pretty awesome here. Like just to showcase somebody that is doing something a degree different. And that is one of the biggest reasons that I'm jealous of you, is because the way you handle it all. And so you wouldn't know that you're running a multi-billion-dollar company.
It's only multi-million, but
But it's amazing. Like and how you do it, and the way that you manage. It's not about the dollars at the end of the day, and you're in a financial business. It's about people. It's about really creating a ripple. And that's what's special to me is the ability to be in your presence, like to have the opportunity to work with you on both sides of the aisle. So, if that's working on the accounting side as Bing Bang being the client of TDT, and then on the marketing side where the tables flip, I think that's a really cool relationship that I don't take for granted. Like the opportunity to be a part of great people and what we can collectively do together is pretty special. And so that's where just getting the opportunity to do this and to let the world know who you are, at least the jealous world, will be pretty cool just to see in the feedback. I mean, the last podcast we did, I told Joey Hinkie, I was like, dude, I'm so sick of this podcast. And he's like, why? And I was like, because everybody wants to talk to me about your vision quest. Like,
It was really good. That was really good.
and so everybody's just texting me like nonstop about Joey and I'm like, that's what this is for. That's what this is about, is to really showcase and share some of the amazing people in our worlds,
Yeah.
that really power us. That really,
And we get a benefit.
correct.
We benefit because we get to take a little piece of you with us after this. So we're both going to be better after talking to people like you and people like Joey and
I think-
people like Rodney. Where'd he go?
He was just running around here. And I think that's the amazing thing about what we get the opportunity to do every day. Yes, we own amazing businesses with unbelievable people, but we still get to go out every day and deal with crazy CEOs, crazy marketing directors, but these people, while they challenge us, they make us better. And by making us better, hopefully we give that back. And so back to that, you give more than you get. Like you're always giving. you're always willing to share that nugget, that piece of information, that thing you just read. And so it's awesome to have somebody like you in our world. It's great to have you in our corner. And so thank you for coming on the Jealous podcast today.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yes,
And
thank you so much. Where can people find you?
yes, they can find me on LinkedIn at Courtney DeRonde, DeRonde, or at tdtpc.com.
Perfect.
Wonderful. All right. Any last words, Courtney? I think I cut you off a bit.
I just can say thank you for having me and all those words of affirmation fill my cup. Thank you for that. But it is definitely a mutual jealousy, I would say, for different reasons,
Love it.
because we're different people, but we've got a lot of similarities, and it's been so fun to grow our businesses together and see our teams help each other, through you guys helping us with marketing, us helping you guys with finance and accounting, and just to develop this friendship for us personally, and then the relationship of our businesses, and being able to learn and grow together is really a gift.
You know what we did forget?
What?
One piece of information, one piece of advice. Like, what is that one thing?
What is your closing advice? It can be about life, anything.
Okay. I'm going to say, I'll kind of reiterate something I said earlier, because it's been very valuable to me, that for those of you who are leading, taking this position that you need to lead at a faster pace than your team or your business has been the most valuable to me. Because not only am I learning and growing and improving, but then I can much more easily engage my team in those things, because they see the difference in me. They see me changing and learning and growing. And so when I empower them to, learn the same thing, they're like, yeah, I want to do that too. I see the difference it's made for you. And so I think that'd be my biggest piece of advice that's been helpful to me.
New marketing campaign. I want to be like Courtney.
Yeah.
Not I want to be like Mike.
Right.
I want to be like Courtney.
I want to go home at 4:30 every day, like Courtney does.
Yeah, I do. And maybe I do that sometimes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Courtney. And we will see you guys next time.